Now, the Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carline. Please be joined as always on Wednesday with Ryan O'Halloran, columnist of the Florida Times-Union. Ryan, good morning. How are you?
Good, Hayes. I'm down here on the Gulf Coast this week, and it's freezing. I don't know. It's probably cold up there as well.
It's brutal up here. It's sunny, but it's like super cold.
Yeah.
I don't
the NFL train never stops, so we got plenty to talk about today.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's start with the good news yesterday. Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile staying in Jacksonville for another year. I mean, obviously, I'm sure for those guys, you would have liked to have seen them get head coaching jobs on a personal level. But from a Jaguars prism, outstanding news. I almost think this eliminates the chance of them having a bad offseason now. Like, if the worst thing that happens to this team in the offseason is that they lose Devin Lloyd in free agency and Travis Etienne in free agency, I don't think that is any sort of killer. So I think getting both coordinators back almost solidifies that no matter what happens from here, at worst, this is going to just be a decent offseason for the Jaguars.
Yeah, it was big news yesterday, and just talking to a couple of people on Monday night, just from background, the Udinski extension talks really kicked into gear when Cleveland requested a second interview. Then they came close to agreement Sunday night, got it across the finish line Monday morning. As of Monday night, about 7 p.m., they were making some headway in Campanile, who was still a candidate in Arizona. And then they got the deal done late Monday night. And these are extensions. These aren't agreed to terms to return just for 2026. I mean, these guys signed multi-year deals when they joined the Jaguars last year. But to your point, this is two big wins for Liam Cohen because it takes two things off his plate. He would have had to go through the interview process for one or both coordinator jobs. That probably would have taken 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks that he wouldn't have been able to look at free agents, his and others, start preparing for the draft, et cetera. So, talent is obviously number one in this league, but continuity is also critical. And that means with Campanile and Udinski still in the fold, this team can pick up the installation and the learning where they left off.
Yeah, and I think in OTAs and in training camp, it allows you to be a little bit more experimental in what you want to do. Obviously, we know they're going to do that, on the offensive line because of the surplus, but also Liam was, kind of playful with us in the year of, you guys got really wrapped up in us switching combinations. Well, in year one, yeah, it is a concern because you want to make sure you're ready for the opener. And that those guys have had time to gel. But now that everybody is back, and to your point, the vast majority of next year's roster is going to know these schemes inside and out. Now, as a staff, it allows you that luxury of let's really fine tune things. Let's take some time and see if we can develop something. It may not go anywhere, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you're afforded luxuries of experimentation that I think when you're a first-year staff, it's hard to get to those layers.
Yeah, experimentation by choice, not by necessity.
Right.
That's probably how I would sum it up. And now you can add things to the offensive plate. You can play with combinations with your offensive line and probably get that settled in earlier than last year. And that's where the angst was, at least from our view, that they were still doing that well into camp. So, when Liam Cohen signed these two guys as first-year coordinators, probably that, hey, turn this thing around, have some success. Maybe I get 2 years out of him. And he's accomplished that. So it was a big win, and now they can really just look forward to what's coming up next with free agency.
Let's get into the offense. You did an outstanding job really getting into the numbers on both sides of the ball, but we're going to stick with the offensive side today. And for the audience that maybe hasn't seen it, it is published on Jacksonville.com, right?
Coming up tomorrow on Thursday,
Oh, okay.
And then it'll be in Sunday's print edition, offense and also defense. And it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
But
it's as thorough as anything that you'll see, Jaguar fans. So be sure that you're following Ryan at Ryan O'Halloran on social and obviously reading his work at Jacksonville.com. Ryan, obviously, when you take on a task like this, I'm sure there's things that pop out to you that maybe were a surprise. There was certainly things, as I read it, that jumped out to me. But just starting with, as you went through this exercise, what were some things that, that kind of surprised you and some big takeaways that you had from it?
Yeah, just a couple numbers that I wrote down. And, I still do this as a columnist role because I write so much Jaguars and do so much. We do the Duval rundown, so many other radio things. It just leads me in the right direction because there's things I trust, but I trust my own stuff. And, a couple of things that jump out is this team averaged 6.2 bad runs a game. That's way too many. They got to get better running the ball. I think the staff addition has impacted that. On third down and 1 to 3, they're at 56%. That's terrible. They have to be better in short yardage. That Parker Washington led the team with 25 explosive catches, which is a gain of at least 16 or more yards. That was 8 more than any other player. That confirms what we saw live, is this was a breakout player who Trevor Lawrence trusted. So, and then the last thing is, remember at midseason drops were an issue. Well, they had 4 drops in the last 9 games. They had 24 drops in 18 games. So that wasn't a problem. Obviously, Jacoby Myers, that helped. His superpower was catching it. But also when Brian Thomas came back from his ankle issue, his drops went down. So those are just a couple of the things. And if anything jumped out to you, but a lot of data, but it also showed why this offense was so good.
I thought it also spoke to the complementary football piece of what made this team such an exemplary group that was able to go out and win 13 games and a division title. As the season went along, they actually went down in yards, but up in points, which is almost unthinkable. I thought that was really interesting because you've got benchmarks at, different intervals of the season, and the yards are going down, but the points are going up. I thought that was really interesting. To me, it spoke to how well coached they were in every phase. Obviously jumping from the stagnant Doug Peterson attack to Liam Cohen's attack, they went from 28th in scoring in 2024 to 6th. I mean, that is a marvelous jump. And another thing that we talked about the offensive line, but one thing that jumped out to me, you do a great job with the snap counts. 6 offensive linemen with at least 632 snaps played. Which there was 1,100. So, I mean, you basically had 6 linemen that played at least, 55, 60% of the offensive snaps, and all those guys are back. Yeah. So it creates a really interesting, good problem along the offensive line.
Yeah, and they didn't have any major injuries up front. They just had nicks. A guy missed a game, a guy missed 2 games. Well, that's where your depth came in. We didn't know anything about Cole Van Lannon coming in this season. He earns a contract. Walker Little, who knew he could play guard? And and like you said on the radio yesterday, and we've talked about this, and I agree with it. Is if somebody does call about Walker Little, I think you have to entertain it just to get some of that money off the books. But on the flip side, this is how the Jaguars would rationalize not doing it. Is you need guys. You have to go into the season, I think, with 7 or 8 guys you feel comfortable with, because there's going to be a thing like Robert Hainsey strains a hamstring, misses a game. Anton Harrison wrenches an ankle, he misses a game. Walker Little concussion, misses 2 games. So, and then Macari's back injury. They say it's not a concern. So, but so how this line spots 6, 7, 8, 9 pan out going into camp is going to be interesting. But one thing you mentioned, that complementary football, is they scored 106 points off opponents' turnovers, and that was only 16 of those were by the defense. So this was an offense that capitalized when their defense gave them the football back, which they did a lot this year.
Yeah, and then in looking at something that surprised me, that I think is something that the 2026 team will certainly try and do a little bit better job of offensively, there wasn't a lot of quick strike. You point this out. The longest touchdowns are in the average touchdown, pretty pedestrian, at least I thought, in terms of length of yardage. So I would think quick strike, the ability to have, touchdown drives that are 2-3 plays long from further distance out. That is something that I'm sure will be something Liam Cohen is trying to cultivate in 2026 at a little bit better level.
Yeah, I mean, the average touchdown pass was 12 yards. The longest was only 45. That was the swing past the ETN. The rushing average for 22 touchdowns was 8.1. The longest was 48. That rushing number ideally is probably going to be around that. You're not going to get a lot of 20, 25 yarders. Plus, Lawrence had a lot of those really short touchdowns. But yeah, they just. I mean, is that what the defense was given a look for? Obviously, Brian Thomas's demise played into some of those, shorter passes, but you're right. And the other thing is like Trevor Lawrence was, 6th in attempts, 7th in completions, 6th in yards, 5th in touchdowns, but 22nd completion percentage, 60.9. I wonder, I think Liam Cohen will obviously get in the lab on that with Spencer Whipple, with Grant Udinski, and say, okay, where are the easy button throws for Trevor Lawrence? I mean, I'll joke about this is if you eliminate the passes he threw away on aborted screens, his completion percentage would be 82.2.
Yeah, that's a great. That still doesn't make any sense to me. It how bad they were at that. And I would think that Liam gets that fixed this offseason. So another layer of offense that can probably be further unleashed, really unleashed at all. Because I mean, this year it was, I'd say, a negative aspect of the team was the lack of screen game. And I still think there was a tell in there somewhere, whether it was a player or something, because it just, I mean, every team they saw every week knew exactly when it was coming.
And I think both of us asked Liam about that midseason, and it wasn't, his reaction to us wasn't about the question. It was basically, I know.
Right.
It's like they were just as confused as we were about it. So it's their job to figure it out.
Yeah, without a doubt. Jacob Simon's helping us out on Duval Rundown. We certainly appreciate his efforts. Jacob, let's say hello to our sponsor, please.
Baloo for Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, your locally owned commercial truck headquarters and proud partner of the Jaguars. For hard-to-find ProMaster vans or commercial trucks for your fleet, visit jaxwest.com today.
Ryan, I know you've got a column coming up on Jacksonville.com about this. Bill Belichick doesn't get into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot selection. Obviously, just gross incompetence on the part of the voters, for this to happen. But take us through your thoughts about that.
Well, to use a line we've used frequently since we've known each other, where are we?
Yeah.
He needed 40 out of the 50 votes to get induction. He didn't get 40. He should have gotten 53 because he won 8 Super Bowls as an assistant or a head coach. The fact that people wanted him to wait a year for Spygate, if that's a reason, means they shouldn't have their vote anymore because either you're a Hall of Famer or you're not. You're not a Hall of Famer one year, but then next year, okay, he served his time in the penalty box. Let's get him in there. And who
are you to decide that?
Yeah, you're not the Hall of Fame god. But where this impacts Jacksonville is now it pushes all these other coaches back a year.
Yeah,
and they got a logjam here. Everybody assumed Belichick was going to get in this year. Okay, then that clears the deck for a Mike Holmgren, a Mike Shanahan, and Tom Coughlin. And so now they would have inched closer, but it's a process where the coaches are lumped in with the contributors and the senior players. That's stupid. There's 5 finalists. You're only allowed to vote for 3. That's stupid. How about if all 5? You should vote for how many you want. So I've never been a fan of the Hall of Fame voting procedure because there's so few people voting. There's only 50. 425
and it seems like the average age of the voter is 92.7.
Yeah, it's a Supreme Court justice type thing. A lot of these people are retired. I don't know. I think the electorate is too small. 425 people filed a baseball Hall of Fame ballot this year, and you have to get 85%. It's a tough Hall of Fame to get into. So I wonder if this will prompt change in terms of the process, in terms of the transparency, because these voters really are sworn to secrecy about the deliberations. And you're seeing a couple of these things leak out today. I'm sure more will as people start saying, hey, don't blame me. I voted for Bill. I mean, there's one voter who can't remember who he voted for.
Right. I mean,
so, as your dog enters the fray. But yeah, so I'll write about that. But I'll pivot real quick. Let's talk about Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, please.
This is a Duval rundown with Ryan O'Halloran. Hayes Carlyon is busy right now.
The yellow lab AJ here is a little rambunctious.
Yeah, AJ. So Devin Lloyd, I mean, I think he priced himself out of Jacksonville. And before I give you a couple of data points, I'll throw it to you is, what is a scenario to which he stays?
I'm sure they could get it done. Okay, give me this. This is what we're dealing with here is a little toy llama. I mean, I'm sure they could make it work if they, if they felt like he's somebody they couldn't live without. But I don't think that that's how they'll view him. I think they'll view him as a good player that ideally they'd like to have. But to me, it's more on Devin Lloyd. I mean, I'm not signing unless the Jaguars like dazzled me. Why would I sign it? I mean, why wouldn't I listen to the other 31 clubs? I mean, it only takes one. I mean, we've seen the Titans have like ridiculous amounts of cap space. Like, who's to say that he's not a top priority for them and they're going to give him a contract that's going to totally reset the market at that position? So, I'm sure there is a willingness to re-sign Devin Lloyd, and the Jaguars could probably make it happen if they just viewed it as we can't lose him. But I don't think that's where they are. And if I'm Devin Lloyd, and I mean, this is the last one he's going to probably have. I mean, he's 20. He's not like he's 25. I mean, he's 27, and this is probably his last massive deal. And really, his rookie contract was good, but nothing like spectacular. Yeah. So I'd be really surprised if he comes back. To me, it's on both sides of the street on that one.
Yeah. It's the Jaguars are at the luxury right now. We want Devin Lloyd back, but at our price. Well, that's not going to happen. And just to give you a couple of data points where there's going to be a disconnect is, you look at the 5 highest paid linebackers off ball in terms of average salary this year, not including Fred Warner, who was hurt. They all played at least 953 snaps. Devin Lloyd played 761. To get into that 17, 13, $14 million range, you never leave the field. I'll give you Jermaine Sherwood from the Jets played 100% of the snaps in 16 of the 17 games this year. Devin Lloyd played 100% of the snaps in 0 games. Not a knock on Devin. His role was as he had his role where he came off the field in dime situations. He came off the field in some nickel situations. So I think this is going to be a market agrees the terms within an hour or so because they got the deal done at the combine, and the Jaguars will say, hey, thank you for your service. Best of luck. We'll take that 3rd round compensatory pick in 2027.
Yeah, without a doubt. In terms of, we'll get you out with this, Ryan, in terms of in-house options to replace Devin Lloyd, is there anything there that you like, or do you think Devin Lloyd's replacement probably comes in the draft or maybe the second wave of free agency?
Yeah, my lean would be toward the draft. We don't know. I mean, Ventrell Miller, I think he's a good special teamer. I don't think he can be a 700 snap a year linebacker. Jack Kaiser, Branson Combs, unproven guys. So if there's a linebacker who really fits the scheme, they got a bunch of 3rd round picks. Maybe find one there. But I do think this team is going to be active in the second wave of free agency on the discount aisle because you still need veterans. And so I would probably say they'll probably sign a guy and then draft a guy and let them compete for the spot.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I was really impressed with some of those guys that they were able to bring in this past offseason, like a Dennis Gardeck, who, I thought really gave them some big time contributions. So great stuff, Ryan. What else is coming up on Jacksonville.com that we should look forward to?
Well, have the Belichick Hall of Fame column, have the statistical reviews, offense, defense. Those will be published online Thursday and in Sunday's paper. And then I will look at the coordinator stuff in Saturday's notes column because right now I only count 9 teams in the league who are going to return all 3 of their coordinators.
Wow.
So the Jaguars are in obviously a great position there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Awesome. Well, great stuff. Well, we certainly appreciate your insights. We'll look forward to that. And again, we will break down the defensive side of the ball, crunching the numbers that Ryan has come up with. We'll look forward to doing that on next Wednesday's Duval Rundown. But until then, that's going to do it for us. Ryan, man, thanks so much. Great stuff as always.
Thank you, Hayes. Thank you, AJ.
All right, we'll be back on Friday with Rick Ballou. Until then, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching Duval Rundown.